And hello, one and all, and welcome to my weekly review for this week's episode of NXT. We're going to take a look at everything that took place on the May 4th edition of NXT. And I have to say, overall, from top to bottom, this was a really solid edition of NXT. I liked the surprises that happened on this show. I thought there were several good matches, some storylines that were advanced. All in all, I thought this was a solid hour of wrestling from NXT. So there was a lot that I enjoyed on this show, and I can't wait to discuss it more in depth. So without further ado, let's take a look at what took place on this week's show. So we kick things off, in what better way than with the new NXT champion. That's right, Samoa Joe makes his way to the ring. Joe pretty much says that, despite what Finn Balor had to offer, he was no match in the long run. Because standing before you is the new NXT champion. And Joe said he's putting the world on notice, that it's his time, and he's running things, and he says he will be more than happy to beat you down and choke you out. So really fired up, intense, arrogant Samoa Joe. He is, at the top of his game right now, and well-deserving to be NXT champion. But before he can even get going, Eric Young makes his debut on NXT. This announcement was made a week or so ago on WWE.com. I was definitely surprised to hear that WWE signed Eric Young. I think he's a good addition to NXT. He makes his way down and gets right in Joe's face, and he tells Joe that he knows who he is. They have history together. And he says that the only thing that is guaranteed is change. And he points to Joe's NXT title, and he says pretty much up front that I collect those things. And things have changed for both him and Samoa Joe. And Joe pretty much says, I ain't having this, and he leaves the ring. And Joe tells Young that you don't even belong in the same ring as me. And the next time that you get in the ring with me, he's going to beat his ass. So Samoa Joe put Eric Young on notice. That would eventually set up for what would be a solid main event match later in the evening. I liked this promo, the debut of Eric Young in NXT. Definitely, the crowd was surprised to see this happen. Getting right in Samoa Joe's face. They had a nice little exchange back and forth. And the nice thing about this was that it was all under 10 minutes. It's not like Raw where you have to drag this thing out 20 plus minutes. It was short, it was sweet, it got to the point, and it set up for a main event match later in the evening. So this, all in all, I call this segment a success. After this match, we had what was a fairly quick match between Tessa Blanchard and versus Nia Jax. Tessa, the son of Tully Blanchard. It was great to see her appear once again. I believe this is her second time appearing on NXT. She didn't really get much, if any, offense in on Nia Jax. It was pretty much all Nia Jax. She was able to cut Tessa off at every avenue that she took. Nia was able to hit the Samoan drop, followed by the leg drop for the win. So it looks like to me that they're definitely building Nia up for a future NXT Women's Championship match, possibly against Asuka at the next NXT TakeOver event. I could definitely see that happening. That's why we've seen Nia Jax go on a dominant role for the past several weeks. And I don't have a problem with Nia versus Asuka. I actually think they could go out there and have a pretty solid match. But this match, it was really just about putting over Nia Jax. However, I am interested in seeing more of Tessa Blanchard because I think she could be a good addition to the NXT women's division. We then had a solid match between the Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger, and Austin Aries. These guys went out there and they just tore things up. I mean, move for move, counter for counter. I mean, this was a solid match through and through. The crowd was getting into it towards the end. There was a really nice spot where Aries set up for the running drop kick, but Dillinger was able to get the boot up. Towards the end, Dillinger hit the fireman's carry into a neck breaker for a 2 count. And it looked like towards the end that Dillinger was going to, took his knee pad off, was going to go into the roaring elbow, but Aries was able to counter, land the drop kick, and hit the 450 splash off the top rope. And your winner, as a result of pinfall, is Austin Aries. So one of Austin Aries' best matches since he's arrived in NXT. I really felt like, him and Dillinger went out there and put on a solid match. Fan of Ty Dillinger, wish they would do more with him than just have him essentially be an enhancement talent, because they really don't have anything going for him. He is over with the crowd. I do think they should do something with him. That remains to be seen, but having matches like this certainly helps, and props to him and Austin Aries for going out there and having a solid match from start to finish. We then had the Hype Bros taking on the Revival. As you all know from the previous week, Dash and Dawson put the tag team division on notice. They're going to do everything and anything in their path to reclaim their NXT tag team championships. And in this match, it was pretty much all the Revival. I mean, Mojo and Zack Ryder, they weren't able to get in hardly any offense. Raleigh, who was the legal man, tried to pounce on Dash, but Dawson was able to get the blind tag in. Raleigh turns around and walks right into the Shattered Dreams. Your winners, the Revival. So I think we're obviously going to be seeing a rematch between the Revival and Jordan and Gable down the line, potentially at the next NXT TakeOver event. I'd be all for that match. I thought they had a tremendous match at NXT TakeOver Dallas, and would definitely like to see these two teams clash again. So look forward to that, hopefully potential rematch. We then had No Way Jose versus Noah. More of the same here, similar to his debut several weeks ago. He got in the ring, pretty much danced a lot. Was really a quick match. He picked up the win with a full Nelson Slam, so not just with the baseball punch, he added the full Nelson Slam, so that was nice to see. I mean, I think a baseball punch is a pretty weak finisher, so it was nice to see him add something additional. Nothing too much from this match here. So your winner was No Way Jose. Then we had our main event, which was a really solid match between Eric Young taking on Samoa Joe. These guys, obviously, based on their history in TNA, know each other very well. It was surreal seeing two TNA talent closing out an NXT show. Never thought I'd see that before. But Joe was really, move for move, able to cut Eric Young off every time. Looked like Young was going to be able to get some offensive maneuvers going. Young, when he looked like he was going to run the ropes, ended up eating an elbow from Joe, followed by a back body drop. Towards the end of the match, when Young was looking to charge up Joe was able to hit him with a Uranagi suplex, so that was a really nice spot. And then it looked like Joe took Young down for the Muscle Buster, and then he locked in the Coquina Clutch, putting in a good effort by Eric Young, but it wasn't enough to knock off the NXT champion. Therefore, your winner by submission, by tap out, is Samoa Joe. So a solid match to close out what I thought was an overall good edition of NXT from start to finish. If I had to give a grade for this week's episode of NXT, I would give this week's episode a B+. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was one of the stronger episodes of NXT. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to look forward to in the future, building up to the next NXT TakeOver event, which I believe will be called Revenge, which will be airing on June 8th. So I look forward to seeing what they do from here on out. So yeah, those are my thoughts and opinions on this week's edition of NXT. Thank you all for watching this video. Please click that like and subscribe button for more video content coming soon to this channel, and be on the lookout for my next video. Until then, guys, take care, stay safe, and I will see you in my next video. Peace.